there you are, YouTube. Do subscribe if you're interested, but also no pressure. Hey, so today was the day that Disney Plus dropped X-Men 97. Talking about the X-Men here. Here we got all the women of the X-Men right here. Um, X-Men. So this was very exciting for me. X-Men, the animated series from the 90s, is my favorite show of all time. And it was just great to watch it come back. Now we only saw the first two episodes. That's all they've given us, and then they're going to release the next ones each Wednesday. That comes after today. But just the immediate well, here let me talk about the trailer a little bit for it, because the trailer, the only thing I was a little worried about was the animation. Actually, to me, some of the lines looked a little extra bold, and some of the movements were a little stiff or something like that. But all of that, when I started watching tonight's episodes, all of that sort of melted away, went away, and you can see when you're watching more scenes that the movements are very fluid. There are some that are still kind of stiff a little bit, but it all just, I think it works very well. And some of those bold lines, I don't know, it's not really a problem. And when you think back to how, I think it was the last season or last two seasons of X-Men, from the 90s, that animation, they had to change animation studios or something, and it just was not good. So this is an upgrade. But also, when you're watching this, you can tell that it's an upgrade fully. If we go back to the old style, it's not as good. I think, though, in some cases we have more detail, like when it comes to lines on the face and muscles and things like that. There is more detail, but here it's all kind of tightened and crisp and cleaner. It takes just the smallest fraction of a second to get used to. Immediately, I was used to it. Was not a problem. Next thing, the opening credits was really cool. Almost matched completely, but there were some differences in it because they added two new cast members. We have Morph showing up, and also Morph is not in his the human form we see it. Morph in is more in I think he started out this way in the comics, not for sure, but where the face is sort of, I don't know, like an alien or something. So that's how we see Morph. We also have Bishop, and Bishop has gotten a haircut. Also, Storm has gotten a haircut. She has a mohawk now. Anybody else have any new looks? I don't think so. I think those were the main new looks. But yeah, so they added Morph and they added Bishop to the opening in the first episode. And there's some other differences when we have the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants and the X-Men going up against each other. That cool part at the very end. We have a new Brotherhood lineup than we do in the other one. I think Avalanche is in both, but he isn't wearing his helmet in this one. But if you look at the cast on the Brotherhood side, it's a little different. But all of that was very cool to see. I loved that was the same. And then once the show started, the look was just there. The backgrounds, the grittiness of the background, the cityscapes, was all just so wonderful to look at. The character designs of the Friends of Humanity. Is that what they're called? Why does that sound wrong? Yeah. Why is it? It's starting to sound wrong in my head. Friends of Humanity. Their character designs were so perfect. All of that was just so great. So the animation, the setting, all of that it just felt like you were back there. You spot the differences, you notice the differences, but honestly, many of the differences that you see are things that work better. When it comes to a lot of the animation, the movements, there's some cool foreshortening that we see, some close-ups that are great. Storm, I feel like we've never seen more detail in her face, and she just looks great. She looks amazing. So yeah, I don't know. All that was really good. The voices, I felt like at first when I was hearing the character or the actors, the voice actors, for some of them, even because I know a lot of them came back, but for Cyclops, when we were hearing Cyclops' voice at just the very beginning, I was like, that doesn't sound right. I know it's him, but it doesn't sound right. But then I don't know why this happened. When I first heard his voice, it sounded wrong, but then it just started to sound correct the whole way through. So I don't. It might have just been me having to get used to the age of the voice just being a little different, and because it came to me to where I was like, okay, yeah, that's the Scott Summers I know. I would say his voice did that only for a moment. Um, Next would be probably there's a moment where Morph is as Charles Xavier. That one sounded a little different, and I think Morph just has a completely different voice. He didn't. He has the laugh still, but I don't know. Everything else sounds a little bit off, so I need to look into that. Rogue is the same voice actor, but she, you can kind of hear some differences in it, but also you know completely that it's the same person. But the one I was most surprised at was George Buza as Beast. Beast is my favorite character of all time, and I feel like I know George Buza's voice perfectly. But when he first came on screen and I first heard his voice, I was like, "Ooh, that sounds different." I felt like I could tell it was George Buza still, but something was a little bit different. Like he didn't put as much like bass. Sorry, I keep grunting, just getting over a cold. It's like he didn't put enough like gravel. Maybe bass isn't the right word, but put enough gravel in the voice. It's not a lot of gravel, but there's a little bit more. And then I think also maybe there was his speed at which he was speaking was a little bit faster than what I'm used to with Beast. And I wonder if maybe George Buza was trying to like youthify young his voice a little bit, and in doing that, it made it sound just a little bit different and less gravelly. Because I think maybe in the original series, maybe he was adding gravel, but maybe I'm wondering. This is all hypothetical speculation. I'm wondering if maybe because he's older, he probably has more natural gravel in his voice. Maybe he's trying to take out that gravel and maybe took it a little bit uh, further than what Beast's voice was originally. So that all felt a little bit different for a while, and but eventually it caught on to where some things that he was saying I was like, oh yeah, definitely sounds exactly like the Beast that I knew and grew up with and fell in love with. So yeah, I felt like it took a little bit longer for me to hear original Beast in this Beast, even though it's still George Buza. The fastest one for me to click back into was probably Cyclops, and then Rogue as well. But one, I was just like, this is completely different. And that was Jean Grey. I was like, that is definitely not Jean Grey. Sometimes I'd be like, well, maybe it is, and it's just, years have passed. But then I was like, I don't think it is. So I looked it up afterwards. It is a different voice actress, but interestingly, because when I was watching the show, this one character comes up named Val Cooper. And I was like, oh, that's funny. She sounds more like Jean Grey than Jean Grey does. And then when I looked it up online, the original voice of Jean Grey from the animated series in the 90s is doing the voice for this Val Cooper person. So that's weird. But I'm wondering if maybe her voice has changed, the actor's voice has changed so much over the years that her voice didn't quite work for Jean anymore. So they wanted to keep her on the show, pay tribute, to everything she's done for the show, and keep her on the show, but just having her play a different person because her voice is so different. That's my guess. But I just thought that was funny because I noted it. Like I was like, that's funny. She sounds more like Jean Grey than Jean Grey does. And then it turns out it was Jean Grey. Wow, that was cool. But yeah, there's a lot of great things about this. I don't know, should I get into like the story? Actually, let me tell you about a couple other things. I loved how with a lot of the characters, they really showed you their power and their strength. Like with Cyclops. A lot of people think Cyclops is just a dork and a nerd. Not cool. But his powers are really awesome and they are really powerful. There was this one comic, I think it was in Astonishing. Maybe it's not, I can't remember. But there was this moment where, I can't remember, the X-Men were coming over like this hill and they're met with like a bunch of sentinels or something. I'm simplifying all of this. and they see all those Sentinels, and then basically they're like, oh shoot, what are we gonna do? You know, the five of us or whoever all was there can't take all of these. And then Scott, Cyclops, he goes, cover your eyes or something like that. And then you flip the page, and then the page, both sides in the comic book, are red. Just the color red. That's it. Just pure red pages on both sides. And then you turn to the next page, and then it's like all those Sentinels or whatever just like destroyed, completely destroyed, all taken down. And then Wolverine acknowledges Cyclops and says, "It's moments like these when I'm reminded why you are our leader." And it's like, oh, it was just so cool to see Cyclops' power like that in the comics. And then here I felt like we saw it in a lot of cool ways as well. There's a part where he's like sort of like skydiving, and everybody else is like, I need help landing, I need help landing. So Rogue's, you know, grabbing everybody, Storm and everybody. But then Cyclops, he's just like, I got it taken care of, and then he just like looks down at the ground, and then and then he like uses that blast to like soften his landing, and that was just so cool to see. And also Storm, she is just like so good in this. She is just as dramatic as she always has been. Like one of my favorite lines, I think this was a line, or maybe it's just like one I made up, but I'm pretty sure she says this in the original series. There's a point when she goes, because you know my sister and I would play X-Men, so I'm pretty sure, I don't think I made this up. I'm pretty sure it actually is in the cartoon. It's been like over 10 years since I've rewatched it, but there's a moment where, and I would always say this when my sister and I were playing, I summon the Arctic winds, whenever, you know, I was acting like I was Storm. And Storm is acting just like that again in this one. She is just like acting out being a goddess so hard in this, and it is just so epic. It is so cool. So yeah, Storm is awesome, and we're seeing her power, just like the sheer strength of it, the fact that she is less of a mutant and closer to being a god compared to the rest of them. Because if you control the weather, you got everything, and I love watching her do everything that she's doing in this. Have I talked about Magneto yet? Magneto, he's great also. I'm gonna get into the story a little bit, and I think it's okay because the trailer does this. But with Magneto, Professor Xavier, you know, he's with the Shi'ar Empire and everything. But Xavier leaves everything to Magneto. Scott Summers is thinking, yeah, I'm going to be the leader of the X-Men forever, you know, I'm taking Xavier's place, but no, it's this guy right here. So there's, you know, they're button heads a little bit. They're like, I'm the leader. No, I'm the leader. Charles left it to me. Yeah, but I take care of everybody, you know, in between time, and I should be his leader. And he's like, but the will says it's me. And then Beast comes in and he's like, guys, it's okay. Everything is fine. I'm always the voice of reason. That's actually not true. That he doesn't come in for that part. But it was, I kind of love that because I've always loved the relationship between Xavier and Magneto. And here it just like solidifies it like to an extreme degree that Xavier is just fully like trusting of Magneto after everything they've been through. Like I love that so much. So everything that's going on with his character is awesome. Um, oh shoot! Also, there's another thing with the Jean Grey stuff we see at the very end of the second episode that might have something to do with the voice change. I don't know yet. With the actress voice change, I don't know. So there could be more developing on that as to why a different actress is using her voice, doing her voice. Maybe. Maybe. Also, what else did I want to say? Oh, X-Man! Whoops, that might be a spoiler. Oh, yeah, that's fine. So Jean and Scott have a... well, you can see in the trailer that Jean is pregnant. So, you know, they got a baby on the way. I don't know. That's all I'll say, I guess. So, yeah, I am hyped about this. I loved it. I thought both episodes were great. Which one did I like more? Maybe the first one. The first one felt the most like the original show. The second episode, I mean, also felt like the original show, but like I don't know. I think a lot of the visuals from the first episode just felt very uh, original series. But then we have the second episode. Um, it has a little bit of X-Men Unite X3. What is that? What is X3 called? The Last Stand. X-Men The Last Stand. A little bit in it. Um, Tiny bit. Nah, maybe a large bit. I don't know. I don't necessarily know how I feel about all of that, but you know, you got to recycle some of these stories. But anyway, I'm very excited about this. I think it's cool that Cyclops is looking awesome. I love everything they're doing with Magneto, and I hope they do more. Beast, right now, Beast has not been included in any of the action figure lines for this show. I hope that changes because I collect Beast action figures. I own every single one of them, and I want them to make another one so I can buy that one as well. Um, get my buddy Hank McCoy a new one added to the collection. I'd love that. But anyway, did you watch the first two episodes? I would love to know. That's my reaction to it, is that I love it. And I can't wait for the next episodes. I think there's going to be 10 in all when you count the two that were dropped today. What did you think? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments below. It's on Disney Plus. If you haven't seen it, go there and watch it. Especially, I mean, you kind of have to know the original series. There's a lot of characters that if you didn't watch it in the 90s, you may not know what's going on. So maybe go and watch the original series and then jump into 97. But anyway, I want to know what you thought if you did watch 97. What did you think of the original show too? Did you watch it in the 90s? I know I did. I loved it so much. Again, my favorite show of all time. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and perhaps we'll see you tomorrow for more Pure Hangout.